love and greetings to each one of you, especially to those who are visiting us for the first time. Today, we will try to understand and appreciate the life of the deathless Kriya Yoga Guru, Mahavatar Babaji, and derive the blessings flowing from him. Millions around the world would have heard the mysterious name Babaji. Who is he? Is he really living for centuries? What is his mission? What is his core teaching? And what is the authentic channel for his teaching? And why does his name even today stir something deep within so many souls? The answers to these questions matter more today than ever before, because we now live in a world searching for peace amidst stress, conflicts, uncertainties. That peace at individual level as well as at world level, we are all looking for that peace. Is there a solution at all? And it was precisely for this purpose that Mahavatar Babaji revived an ancient and forgotten science, Kriya Yoga, by practicing which one can have direct personal experience of divinity within and thereby establishing that inner tranquility. Precisely for this reason, he revived Kriya Yoga, by practicing which we can find that peace within and eventually peace without around us. Today, we explore who this great master is and why his presence and his promise remain as alive and real as ever. Much of the information I have taken from the spiritual classic, AutobiographyOfAYogi. This is a good source of information on Babaji. First, let us recall that event or commission that changed history. The story: the city was Calcutta, the year was 1920, the day was July 25. A young Swami, still in his 20s, was on the threshold of the most daunting and challenging journey of his life. A voyage he had to undertake to cross oceans, to carry the ancient wisdom of India to the West. And that young monk was Swami Yogananda. He was filled with apprehensions of what lies ahead. So he was sitting in meditation, looking for some confirmation from God that all would be well. After hours of meditation, a luminous figure approached him. It wasn't a dream. It was not a vision, but a physical appearance of a physical form of a luminous personality. That was Mahavatar Babaji, the deathless guru who has been walking on this earth for centuries. And at that time, he uttered these words of assurance to Gurudev Paramahansa Yogananda Ji. You are the one I have chosen to spread the message of Kriya Yoga in the West. Long ago, I met your Guru Yukteswar at a Kumbh Mela. I told him then I would send you to him for training. Babaji added, Kriya Yoga, the scientific technique of God realization, will ultimately spread in all lands and aid in harmonizing the nations through man's personal, transcendental perception of the Infinite Father. With these words, Babaji commissioned a mission more than a century ago, and since then, that mission has touched and transformed many, many millions of lives around the globe. And whether you are a long-time devotee or a new seeker coming for the first time to our gathering, know that you are a part of that mission. Somewhere, some divine hand led you here. Now let's understand about this great Guru more in depth. Who is Babaji? A popular sloka from the Bhagavad Gita reads, Paritranaya sadhunam vinasaya chadushkrutam dharma samsthapanardhaya sambhavami yuge yuge. Meaning, in visible form, I appear from age to age to protect the virtuous and to destroy evil doing in order to re-establish righteousness. That's what Lord is assuring. And we have examples. For example, Bhagavan Sri Ram, he came as an avatar to annihilate Ravan Kumbhakarna and to re-establish righteousness. But we must understand that it's not necessary that an avatar has to annihilate evil doers always. No. Sometimes avatars come to help mankind to conquer that delusion within. That is also evil, delusion within us. And Mahavatar Babaji is one such avatar. He incarnated on this earth to revive Kriya Yoga for the benefit of mankind, to overcome delusion and to re-establish unity with divinity within. That was his mission, not to annihilate any evildoers, but to remove ignorance in human beings, to help each one of us, to help us to overcome ignorance that is there within us. In Autobiography of Yogi, Paramahansa Yogananda Ji says that Babaji is still living in Himalayas. He is living for centuries, quietly watching over the spiritual destiny of humanity with a purpose why he is living, quietly watching over the spiritual destiny of humanity. About his nature and spiritual stature, Swami Smaranananda Giri who was the guru of Paramahansa Yogananda, said, Babaji's spiritual state is beyond human comprehension. The dwarfed version of men cannot pierce to his transcendental star. One attempts in vain even to picture the avatar's attainment. It is inconceivable. That means we cannot really understand what his spiritual stature is. However, we know that Babaji has escaped entirely from the cycle of life and death. He is beyond that. Yet, he retained a physical form. A physical form. And he maintains it for a singular divine purpose, to remain accessible to humanity, a bridge between the human and the divine. Why? He has retained that human form, Babaji. That is that for that singular purpose, that remain accessible to humanity and to act as a bridge between the human and the divine. And Guruji writes that Babaji's mission has been to assist prophets in carrying out their spiritual dispensations. That he assists various prophets who have been carrying on their spiritual activities. Guruji also tells that Babaji has initiated into yoga Adi Shankaracharya and also Kabir. Now there is one question. Why does Babaji remain on earth in a physical form? And the great Guru himself answered this question. To furnish humanity with a concrete example of its own possibilities. Were man never vouchsafed a glimpse of divinity in the flesh, he would remain oppressed by the heavy delusion that he cannot transcend his immortality. There is an example to show that man is immortal. Man need not be confined a decaying body to show that he has retained that immortal body. And he also made a promise that he would never leave his physical body in this world cycle. And one of his disciples, Saint Ram Gopal Mazumdar, once revealed to Paramahansa Yogananda, Babaji has been chosen by God to remain in his body for the duration of this particular world cycle. That ages will come and go, but still this deathless avatar will walk this earth, watching over every soul who calls on him. And the greatest gift he has given to the world is Kriya Yoga. Now let us see what is this Kriya Yoga, which was lost in dark ages and revived by Babaji. Kriya Yoga is one of the most ancient and practical techniques of God realization ever given to humanity. Kriya Yoga works directly on the life force, accelerating spiritual evolution in a way that no other procedure can ever match. It's the highest way to God. And Kriya Yoga is the panacea for all human suffering. Not only for God realization, even for other ails we have, difficulties we have, can be resolved with the practice of Kriya Yoga. The Kriya Yoga was extolled by Bhagavan Sri Krishna in the Gita and by Patanjali in the Yoga Sutras. But unfortunately, Kriya Yoga was lost in dark ages for want of interest, intelligence, receptivity, capacity. I mean, they couldn't understand a higher technique like that in dark ages when man's intelligence was not evolved enough. And at that stage, Baba Mahavatar Babaji in 1861, he revived and gave it to mankind. And how? He chose a householder yogi, Shyamacharan Lahiri, later known as Lahiri Mahashaya. He chose him to spread this Kriya to mankind, to reach it to all people, householders as well as renunciants. And the story of the first meeting of Lahiri Mahashaya with Babaji was explained in great detail in the book AutobiographyOfAYogi. Very fascinating. You can go through that. And the benefits of this Kriya Yoga. Bhagavan Sri Krishna said, referring to yoga, Swalpam apyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat, meaning even a little practice of this religious rite will save you from dire fears. Meaning, if we practice regularly Kriya the way it should be, we can live a life free from fears. Isn't it one of the goals of human life to live fearlessly? I mean, that can be achieved. It was assured by Bhagavan Sri Krishna. And Kriya Yoga is that. And scriptures say that it takes 1 million years of disease-free, moral existence for a human being to express cosmic consciousness. Everyone is evolving at his own or her own pace. But it takes 1 million years, 10 lakh years of disease-free moral existence to express that cosmic consciousness. Look at that. And if the disease, it gets prolonged. But Kriya hastens that spiritual evolution. One Kriya, the practice of which takes about half a minute, will give us an evolution equal to that of 1 year. One Kriya, 1 year. Imagine. Even if you are practicing 24 Kriyas in the morning and 24 in the evening, in one day 40 years of evolution is guaranteed if you practice it properly. And another benefit we derive from Kriya Yoga is that Kriya burns our past bad karma. How does it do? See, Kriya is the real fire rite. It's real Havan. When we practice Kriya, Havan is taking place in the spine. We know Havan outside. That is symbolic actually. That symbolizes the Kriya, the Havan which we need to perform in the spine. In this external Havan, we pour ghee for the flame to go on. And here in this internal Havan, we pour life force. And here in this external Havan, wood gets burnt. And here in this internal Havan, which we are practicing during Kriya, bad karma gets burnt, like wood gets burnt. So it is happening all the time. When we are practicing, bad karma is getting burnt. And Guruji said in Autobiography, through the use of the Kriya key, persons who cannot bring themselves to believe in the divinity of any man will behold at last the full divinity of their own selves. Isn't it very encouraging? Generally, we human beings, when we look at another person, it's hard to believe that he is divine. We see so many imperfections in other persons, so many. How can he be divine? But the beauty of Kriya is, as you keep practicing, one day you will understand, yes, there is divinity in me. You believe in your own divinity. And of course, once you realize divinity within, you will definitely see divinity in others too. But to have a glimpse of it, even to certain, yes, there seems to be that ever new joy in me, which doesn't depend on things external. That experience you will have once you keep practicing Kriya. Ever new joy is God, the divinity within, that you have your own experience. And Guruji also said, the after effects of Kriya bring with them the utmost peace and bliss. The joy that comes with Kriya is greater than the joys of all pleasurable physical sensations put together. We are always happy with what we get through our senses, through tongue, through eyes, ears. We are generally satisfied with the pleasures we get through senses. But once we practice Kriya, that joy, that bliss we feel is much, much more than this. All these pleasurable things we can get through senses. It is that divine. Those who practice regularly would watch for this. At least glimpse of it we get. Yes, the joy inside. So that's the beauty of Kriya Yoga. And that is the gift given by Mahavatar Babaji to us. Next, Guru Parampara. Parampara means lineage, the God-ordained line of realized gurus. Babaji himself planned the succession to carry forward his message of Kriya Yoga to generations. Babaji, he initiated Lahiri Mahashaya to spread it further. In turn, Lahiri Mahashaya, Yukteswarji, Yoganandaji, and then he established Yogoda Satsanga, self-realization to perpetuate. That's the lineage, Guru Parampara. Let us see how this happened. In 1861, Ranikhet, Babaji, when he initiated Lahiri Mahashaya, he said, the Kriya Yoga that I am giving to the world through you in this 19th century is a revival of the same science Krishna gave millenniums ago to Arjuna. Mark his words. He said, the Kriya Yoga I am giving to the world through you. That means the Kriya Yoga he is giving to you and to me through that line of gurus is the same science which Bhagavan Krishna gave to Arjuna. He established that. Lahiri Mahashaya, please propagate on my behalf. And in Kumbh Mela, 1894, Babaji met Swami Sri Yukteswarji and said, I perceive potential saints in America and Europe waiting to be awakened. You, Swamiji, have a part to play in the coming harmonious exchange. Some years hence, I shall send you a disciple whom you can train for yoga dissemination in the West. Here again, he said, Yukteswarji, you have to play a role in spreading this and harmonizing East and the West. At the same time, he also said, I am going to send someone to you for training who would take this message of Kriya Yoga further into other parts of the world. That was Yoganandaji. Next, in Calcutta, 1920, Babaji appeared before Guruji and said, you are the one I have chosen to spread the message of Kriya Yoga in the West. Long ago, I met your Guru Yukteswar at a Kumbh Mela. I told him then I would send you to him for training. Look at the event. They didn't happen arbitrarily. There's a sequence. The Babaji planned the succession. He has in his mind how this Kriya Yoga has to be propagated for the benefit of mankind. And let's look into the events a little more deeply. 1861. Lahiri Mahasaya was just 33-year-old, married and working as an accountant in military engineering services at Dhanapur near Patna. Then all of a sudden he received an instruction that he be transferring him to a place, Ranikhed in Himalayas, another military base. Later only he understood that this transfer was divinely orchestrated by Babaji. And then one day when he was moving around in Dronagiri hills, he heard a voice calling him. Then when he approached him, it was Babaji. He said, "Lahiri, you have come. Rest here in this cave. It was I who called you." That wondrous meeting, again you can read in Autobiography. Then when Babaji touched him, he could recall the memorable time he spent with Babaji in a previous incarnation in that cave. At that time, Babaji said, "For more than 3 decades, I have waited for you to return to me. You have slipped away and disappeared into tumultuous waves of the life beyond death. Though you lost sight of me, never did I lose sight of you. I pursued you over the luminescent astral sea, through gloom, storm, upheaval, and light. I followed you, like a mother bird guarding her young. Patiently, month after month, year after year, I have watched over you, waiting for this perfect day." So once that guru-disciple relationship gets established, it doesn't vanish with one lifetime. We may lose sight of our Guru, but Guruji doesn't lose sight of us. No, he is the one who found him again. Then it's not only that Babaji initiated Lahiri Mahasaya into Kriya Yoga at that time. Babaji revealed that the cries of suffering humanity had not gone unheard, and that Lahiri Mahasaya had been chosen to bring the solace of Kriya Yoga to many by reintroducing it to the world. That is another mission, propagate. And his very life, the life of Lahiri Mahasaya, as a householder, was the message. His life itself is a message. What is the message? That the millions encumbered by family ties and worldly duties need not despair. For liberation depends not on outer renunciation but inner. Through his balanced, dutiful, unattached life, the world would learn that even one who remains fully in the world treads the sure path of enlightenment. That enlightenment is not barred to householders, caught up with so many duties and responsibilities. And one more thing that happened at that time is, Babaji, after initiating him, he said that give this Kriya key to only those who are ready to sacrifice everything in search of the divine. That time, Lahiri Mahasaya pleaded, please relax the restrictions. Even though initially one may not be ready for complete renunciation, so they would never attempt the road to infinite if it's withheld from them. So then he said, Babaji, be it so. The divine wish has been expressed through you. Give Kriya to all who humbly ask you for help. Give Kriya to all who humbly ask you for help. So when we ask humbly for help, Kriya is given. So that was Babaji to Lahiri Mahasaya. Next is Lahiri Mahasaya to Swami Sri Yukteswarji. After the initiation in Himalayas, Although Lahiri Mahasaya was reluctant, enjoying that, if I were in that position, I would have been more reluctant. At least Lahiri Mahasaya heard the instruction of Babaji and came back. I don't know what I would have done. He came back to the world, to his family, to his office, to his ordinary life. From his home in Benares, Lahiri Mahasaya quietly began initiating sincere devotees into Kriya Yoga without fanfare, without proclamation. Quietly it was happening. There were many exalted devotees who were benefited, who were initiated by him. Among his greatest disciples was one young man named Priyanath Karar, who later became Swami Smaranananda Giri. As Guruji explains in Autobiography Yukteswarji was full of wisdom and known as Jnanavatar, incarnation of wisdom. And Babaji met him in Kumbh Mela in 1894 and told him, East and West must establish a golden middle path of activity and spirituality combined. I perceive potential saints in America and Europe waiting to be awakened. You, Swamiji, have a part to play in the coming harmonious exchange. Some years hence, I shall send you a disciple whom you can train for yoga dissemination in the West. Part of that Guru Parampara. And we know that that disciple whom he sent was Mukundalal Ghosh, who later became Paramahansa Yogananda. Thus, it was passed on to Paramahansa Yogananda ji and Yukteswar ji to Gurudev, Paramahansa ji. And Paramahansa ji received his training under Sri Yukteswar ji in a very disciplined and loving manner. And the beautiful training, which is useful to you and to me also, can be found in the book Autobiography of Yogi. Beautiful, years in a master's hermitage, and many other chapters. Yukteswar ji not only initiated Yogananda ji into Kriya Yoga, he also initiated him into sannyas. And that's how that stream has flown. And in 1920, just before his departure for America to attend the International Congress of Religious Liberals, Babaji appeared to him in residence on Garpar Road, Calcutta, giving him the assurance of God's blessings and his own support for his mission. Then Paramahansa Yogananda ji went to a country that didn't know anything about Kriya Yoga, a country that did not comprehend the spiritual treasure of India's ancient wisdom. It's almost like starting from zero, ground zero. However, he transformed Babaji's commission into a worldwide mission that thrives till today. Babaji's commission, go to the West. In 1920, he said, he commissioned, go to the West to spread Kriya Yoga. And that order he realized and put into practice. And now it's a worldwide mission. That's because it's not only one person, Paramahansa Yogananda ji, but the spiritual support he has behind him. Babaji, Lahiri Mahasaya, Yukteswar ji, and Gurudev. And the Guru Parampara continues to date. Paramahansa Yogananda ji said, when I am gone, the teachings will be the Guru. Physical form we don't have now. But his teachings are the Guru now. It continues that. And how his teachings are propagated? That is through this organization, Yogoda Satsanga Society, self-realization, through lessons. No. Guruji established the twin organizations, Yogoda Satsanga Society of India in India, Self-Realization Fellowship in America. And one our organization, YSS, takes care of devotees in this subcontinent, while SRF takes care of devotees elsewhere in the world. It's not only just establishing the two organizations, but there is something Paramahansa did which is unprecedented. He created Yogoda Satsanga lessons, which is so unique to our organizations. These lessons are home study series of lessons. They include both the scientific techniques of Kriya Yoga, meditation, and principles of balanced living, designed to reach any sincere seeker anywhere in the world. Isn't it beautiful? So, he removed that barrier of having to have face-to-face interaction with a guru in a physical form. He removed that barrier. He created this. It's a vehicle of his teaching. Lessons. Anywhere in the world, any sincere devotee can have access. And in multiple languages. I mean, that's one of his greatest contributions. Spreading. And these lessons are not simply correspondence material. No. These lessons carry the living vibrations of a lineage of gurus. They contain the vibrations of blessings of our gurus. Through them, the Kriya Yoga techniques revived by Babaji are transmitted in their original undiluted form, protected from distortion and preserved with fidelity. I mean, that's the beauty. I mean, that's now those people who encounter Babaji either in a book or online or through some friend, when they are curious to know more about his teachings, here is the divine doorway, Yogoda Satsanga self-realization lessons. That's the doorway for the teaching of Babaji. Now, the authenticity. I would like to read out some tributes paid to this organization, Yogoda Satsanga Society. This was the Prime Minister of India. The occasion was the centenary of Yogoda Satsanga Society, that was 2017. The Government of India released a stamp in honor of YSS, 100th year. Then the Prime Minister was in the occasion who released the stamp. He said, he praised YSS for successfully maintaining the legacy and spirit of its founder in sharing ancient India's heritage in the modern world. By now, 3 or 4 generations must have come and gone, serving selflessly and upholding his message. But neither delusion nor diversion has come. This is the observation. Neither delusion nor diversion has come. In its own quiet and gentle manner, such an organization continues to fulfill its sacred mission, its destiny. That's what the Prime Minister said. He made another statement. One of Yoganandaji's biggest contributions is that he has perpetuated such an organization, and today his work continues to forge ahead. I mean, look at that. So that's how the Guru Parampara is linked. After Paramahansa Yogananda ji, his teachings are the Guru, coming through an organization he established. That's Guru. Now, let's again go back and try to understand the qualities of Mahavatar Babaji. As we already seen that his spiritual stature is beyond our comprehension. That's what Swami Smaranananda declared. We will never attempt. But look at his time span. In 8th century, he gave yoga initiation to Adi Shankaracharya. In 15th century, he initiated Sant Kabir. And in 19th century, he initiated Lahiri Mahasaya in Ranikhet. And end of 19th century, 1894, he met Swami Smaranananda in Kumbh Mela and gave him a mission to carry on. And then 1920, that is 20th century, he appeared before Paramahansa Yogananda Ji and blessed him on the eve of his departure. Look at the time span. Note, 8th century to 20th century. And this is not the beginning and ending. Beyond and before also is there. Helping many saints, prophets in their spiritual dispensation. And here beyond now, helping each one of us, whoever calls on him sincerely with faith. He is there. That is the time span. And love is his nature. No. Dayamataji, who is the 3rd president of our organization, she had an experience of Babaji. No, she felt his presence so strongly. She had an experience of that. Then she put this question to him, like this. Let me read her words. Babaji, my Lord, our Guru taught us that whenever we want to feel wisdom, we should pray to Sri Yukteswarji, because he is all jnana, all wisdom. And whenever we want to feel ananda or bliss, we should commune with Lahiri Mahasaya. What is your nature? Yeah. Then Babaji spoke, my nature is love. For it is love alone that can change this world. And I would like to read out Ma's words when at that point how she was feeling. She described, as I said this, then she asked, what is your nature? As I said it, oh, I felt as though my heart was going to burst with love, such love. 1,000 million loves rolled into one. He is all love. His whole nature is prema, divine love. It's not only that he just, words came for Babaji saying that my nature is love. But he could transmit, she could feel that overwhelming love. Here the point is, Babaji's love is not reserved only for his great disciple Lahiri Mahasaya and Dayamataji. It is there for all. It is including you and me. Because God doesn't have favorites. Babaji doesn't have favorites. He chooses those who choose him. So that is available. It flows freely, equally towards every soul in every age, waiting only to be recognized and received. So let us work for that. Work for that. And best way to receive is to practice his techniques of meditation and to call on him with devotion. No. Another quality we see is humility. The other incident described in the Autobiography of Yogi, at Kumbh Mela, Lahiri Mahasaya was moving around. He saw an ash-smeared ascetic holding a begging bowl. Lahiri Mahasaya himself was an advanced soul. When he saw, he felt, oh, here is a hypocrite, an impostor, not a real genuine the ancient. But moments later, he saw Babaji washing the feet of that person and cleaning his cooking utensils. And Babaji said, by serving wise and ignorant sadhus, I am learning the greatest of virtues, pleasing to God above all others, humility. Humility is greatest of virtues, liked by God. That's what, it's not a demonstration. It's not just like that. A demonstration that the Lord resides equally in all body temples, in the saint and the sinner, the wise and the ignorant, the exalted and the forgotten. No, even if maybe hypocrite, but still God lives. That's what Babaji could see. That is the demonstration he gave to others, to you and to me. And another nature is protecting nature. This incident also you must have read in Autobiography. Now, one night, Babaji was sitting around a fire with a group of disciples circling it. Then suddenly Babaji took some fire, wood, burning, red hot. With that, he hit on the shoulder of a disciple sitting next to him. Lahiri Masha happened to be there in that circle. He protested, "Sir, how cruel! How cruel, really, how cruel." I was thinking myself, I also must have done the same thing. Even if I didn't say that, I would have thought inside, how cruel, even if I didn't say. Then Babaji replied, would you rather have seen him burned to ashes before your eyes, according to the decree of his past karma? I have freed him tonight from painful death. The karmic law has been satisfied through his slight suffering by fire. But here, knowing the love of Paramahansa Yogananda for me and our Param Gurus, I recall this incident many, many times in my own life. Now, sometimes the difficulty, I face something, it is difficult. Pain is there. I can see that I have done something. I know that I have done this, that is the result of this. I can see. I also understand that for the mistake I have done, it should have been much more. With little difficulty, I am able to get out of it. That what I did, I am suffering, but it's much less than what I have seen. I would deserve. I deserve much more. I can see that completely. Immediately I can see that. Now I am only filled with gratitude, even in the midst of pain. And suffering is there, but gratitude is there. It would have been much worse for what I have done. And there are instances, probably many more instances, when I don't see the reason. I can't immediately see. I did that, that's why I am suffering now. I can't see that. But I have that much faith that definitely I have done something. And but for the grace of Guru, it would have been much worse. That much I know very clearly. Very clearly. Sometimes I see the reason, sometimes I don't see. But still I know, because the protection, I had to work out that karma. Part of it is worked out through some suffering. And anyway, part of it is being worked out through my Kriya practice. Babaji protects, but not necessarily always the way we want. His help will come in different ways also, different ways, but always for our highest good. And the another is blessing is his nature. Now we have seen love, humility, and protection, and now blessings. Lahiri Masha taught his disciples something that we should all carry in our hearts. He said, whenever anyone utters with reverence the name of Babaji, that devotee attracts an instant spiritual blessing. Babaji's name has that power. Babaji. We receive an instant spiritual blessing. Here there are 2 points. At first, with reverence, that the heart should be there. With reverence, we should have devotion, that must be there. Number 1. Second point is, we attract an instant spiritual blessing. Spiritual blessings are not always, discernible. For example, when the person was hit by, some fire stick, he could not have seen immediately that it's a spiritual blessing. He wouldn't have seen that, it's not a spiritual blessing for him. But it is eventually. It is. Similarly, we may not always pursue what kind of blessing we are receiving, but that is there. That's why after practice of meditation techniques, when we are stillness, this also we can do among other things. Just Babaji, call on him, Babaji, Babaji. Instant spiritual blessing. We may not immediately recognize, but it's going to be there. This is not merely a beautiful statement that you receive instant spiritual blessing. It's a truth attested by those like Dayamataji who have experienced it. And Babaji himself confirmed this to Dayamataji in that experience with Babaji. He said, "It is not necessary for devotees to come to this spot to find me. Whoever goes within with deep devotion, calling and believing in me, will find my response." Wherever we are. This is the assurance. The assurance given by an avatar cannot be taken lightly. These words of assurance cannot go wrong. Next, one more point is Babaji has retained his physical form. So it is natural for devotees wanting to see him. It is natural, we want to have darshan of saints we always want to have. And he is here. And we have such highest regard for him. And he is here, Guru of Guru. And there is nothing wrong in having that desire to see. That's why people try to go to Kumbh Melas, because he met Yukteswari in one Kumbh Mela, Lahiri Maharshi in another Kumbh Mela, keep watching. And then Babaji came. But we should know one thing. What are you looking for? Seeing Babaji or experiencing Babaji? There's a difference. And let us look for experiencing Babaji, not seeing Babaji. Seeing Babaji with his physical eyes, even Babaji comes in front of you, you may not be able to recognize. And that's what happened with Yukteswari. And that's what happened with Lahiri Maharshi too, until he said that it's me. And then you are going to recognize him. When I visited Kumbh Mela in 1989, when we were coming out, I was taking a van to move out after spending there 4 or 5 days. A devotee next to him, he said, "Did Guruji tell us what is the height of Babaji?" I said, "Height of Babaji?" I could not understand. Then he said, "See, when I was about to tell one person there with a stick, he just blessed me. His height was this." Oi, if Babaji really meets you, you don't have to see height. It doesn't go by height and weight. It goes by experience inside. Actually, experience. That's what we have to look for, not physical appearance, the experience. Otherwise, even if he comes before you, you may not be able to recognize. Experience. And Babaji is full of divinity. He is embodiment of perfect love, ever-new bliss, infinite wisdom, light, and the like. These are his manifestations. And we can experience him in one of his manifestations. For example, your heart may be filled with love. when you are chanting Babaji, thinking of him, your heart may be just filled with love, like Dayamataji said. Or when you are thinking of him, it's just that joy, no matter what's happening around me, no matter what's happening to me, at that point, fully joy, full of joy. That's Babaji. That's experiencing Babaji. I mean, that is more important for me than seeing 5 feet 6 inches. These with the danda in hand, this, that, etc. Experiencing Babaji, this is what is Babaji is, and he is accessible. It is said that a man with experience is never at the mercy of a man with an opinion. Easy to understand that, If you read something in a book, that's opinion of someone, We are now at the mercy of that once we have an experience. So let's look for that experience of, not the description of a person, but experience of Babaji. It's possible. And where will you have that darshan? For us, darshan means experience. That's why I say, after meditation, when you feel that deep joy, know that God is giving darshan to you. God is giving darshan to you when the joy is there. That's it. And now, where do you have that darshan of Babaji, that experience of Babaji? We know that Lahiri Mahasaya had that darshan in Himalayas, also in Varanasi. Swami Smaranananda had the darshan of Babaji in Prayagraj, Kumbh Mela, also in Serampur. And Paramahansa Yogananda had his darshan in Calcutta, Garpar home. And Dayamataji in that guest house. And you, where? Here. You can also have darshan. I can also have anywhere. So we don't have to necessarily go on a pilgrimage. We don't have to necessarily do any complicated ritual to invite Babaji. It's just we can feel his presence here. We can experience. Now, let's close with understanding Babaji's mission. Now, today's our topic, as I mentioned initially, was try to understand and appreciate the life of that great deathless Guru of Kriya Yoga and to derive blessings from him. What is that mission? Guruji said, Babaji is well aware of the trends of modern times, especially of the influence of Western civilization. And he understands the urgent need of spreading the soul-liberating science of yoga equally in the West and in the East. And that's why when he met Yukteswarji in 1894, Babaji said, India has much to learn from the West in material development. In return, India can teach the universal methods by which the West will be able to base its religious beliefs on the unshakable foundations of yogic science. That West and East. And now, a century later, we can say with certainty that the vision of Babaji, the words of Babaji have come true. Here there are two organizations, Yogoda Satsanga Society, Self-Reliant Fellowship, working together, helping devotees in over 175 countries, working East and West, 175 countries. And again, the ambassador of Paramahansa Yogananda Giri, spiritual classic, AutobiographyOfAYogi, available in more than 50 languages. At some point it said that about 90% of world population can read autobiography in their own language. 90 or 95% of population. It's available. And countless Kriya Yogis are practicing Kriya in their own homes, spread all over the earth. I mean, that is mission. That's a mission. And again, if someone encounters Babaji in a book or online or through a friend, and the reverence is there. And while that great Guru belongs to all humanity, it's important to know the authentic, direct, unbroken transmission of Kriya Yoga that Babaji ordained runs through his lineage, through Lahiri Mahashaya, Yukteswarji, Paramahansa Yogananda, and this organization he established, Yogoda Satsanga, self-realization, lessons. That's how it goes on. And one thing we should remember, the lessons we are talking about, they are not just simple, paper material. It is, there is so much in that. And here is a statement of Guruji. Implicit in the Yogoda Satsanga Society of India self-realization fellowship techniques and teachings are the help and blessings of YSS SRF line of Gurus. When you are practicing a technique given by Guruji, you are receiving the blessings, implicit blessing. We don't have to ask, give me, give me. When you are practicing, we are receiving. We don't have to ask, bless me, Guruji. No, just practice the techniques he taught. We are receiving. It channel. The techniques are channeled. The ever-living Babaji has promised to guard and guide the progress of all sincere YSS SRF devotees. Lahiri Mahashaya and Sri Yukteswarji, who have left their physical form, and I myself, even after I have left the body, all will ever protect and direct the sincere members of YSS SRF. The words of Paramahansa Yogananda, which cannot go wrong. Meaning that to come to YSS is not just merely joining an organization as a member. It is to be connected with a living chain of divine masters, gurus. And it's like holding the hand extended by Babaji while walking on this path. Because Babaji said that I protect. So coming to YSS means we are holding the hand of Babaji, who is ever living, as we walk. Babaji is not a figure from the past. He is a living presence, an approachable divine avatar, available to anyone who calls on him with sincerity and faith. Isn't it very solacing to know that Mahavatar Babaji is not a figure from the past, that someone incarnated somewhere. He is a living presence even today, approachable. He is approachable even today by anyone. Now, if his name drawn you here today, either through mere curiosity or some longing, know that longing is his call. It's not only that we want to go to him, it's also Babaji calling us. If you are sitting here means that call, which we may not recognize as specifically, but that is there. That's why we are here. Babaji is at work. If you are practicing, if you want to practice Kriya Yoga, means Babaji is at work in your life. And with sincere practice of the techniques given in the YSS SRF lessons comes something far greater than the results from the technique alone. The living guidance and blessings of Mahavatar Babaji, Paramahansa Yogananda Ji, and the entire line of YSS of Gurus, walking with you and guiding you every step. And here I would like to close with an extraordinary assurance given by Paramahansa Yogananda Ji. He said that Babaji has compassionately promised to assume life after life responsibility for the spiritual welfare of all faithful Kriya Yogis, initiated through duly authorized teachers. Promised to assume life after life responsibility for the spiritual welfare. Life after life responsibility. And this promise is not restricted only to his exalted disciples like Lahiri Mahashaya, life after life. That promise is equally applicable to you and to me. Babaji would take charge. And if the call of Babaji feels real to you, if you wish to walk this path, the door is open. The YSS are of lessons. They are available. Anyone interested, the link is given, displayed on this screen. With these words, I close this talk.